In a world where Africans have lost their roots, it has become of vital importance to document our ways. In an effort to reverse the brainwashing of the past, where we were made to believe our ways are demonic, we are pressed to create dignified and respectful platforms to unpack our spiritual ways.
We have just arrived at the mother stone. This is the mother stone where we have just arrived by the main gate at eNzalo yeLanga. And the mother stone has got a fascinating history because this is the oldest man-made carving in human history, and it lies here at eNzalo yeLanga. It is known as the clitoris of the earth. And a lot of people will say, now, what are you saying? I'll say, just look at the shape, and biologically, you can see that our ancestors were working very, very hard here to actually project the feminine structure and also what mazisakazi is all about. This structure in our vernacular is known as mazisakazi, and that's what Baba Credo Mutwa called the clitoris of the earth, which was used for certain energy work right up at eNzalo yeLanga, which is the birthplace of the sun. Some people call it Adam's calendar, but actually this place, its original name is eNzalo yeLanga, which is the birthplace of the sun. So this structure you see is actually misplaced where it is, as I said before, and it's not supposed to be here, but it's supposed to be at eNzalo yeLanga in what we call the meditation labyrinth or the shamanic pathway. There is a pathway there which is actually a labyrinth where the shaman were also being trained or ordained into sanusis. So this artifact actually has to be taken back and placed in its original place at eNzalo yeLanga. So
should we move closer so we can check it out?
Yes, we can actually check it out. Let's move closer. So here we are, and the only motivation for it to be removed from eNzalo yeLanga is actually this placard that you are looking at. They were doing the opening of the Blue Swallow Nature Reserve, and then they brought in this stone. They just took it from where they saw that this was a nice stone that we can actually go and put our placard at the main gate where we came from there. And this is actually desecretization of ancient artifacts, because this is not supposed to actually be happening with our, especially looking at it as the oldest man-made carving, stone carving in human history, which stands here, and it is efficiently much older than most civilization sites that we know of around the world. We know of Machu Picchu, Göbekli Tepe, Nabta Playa, we know of the pyramids of Egypt, and we know of Great Zimbabwe. But eNzalo yeLanga actually is a very ancient site, spiritual site, where the Sanusi were actually initiated here at eNzalo yeLanga. And Ubaba Credo Mutwa was one of the last knowledge keepers of alchemy, Chemetian sciences. He was a Chemetian scientist and he was an alchemy scientist, and these are the last group of Chemetian scientists which we see, and one of them is Ubaba Credo Mutwa, and he was initiated at this particular site in 1937, and after that we see no other initiation taking place until the present day, when we stand here and try to narrate about ancient heritage and what is the importance of humanity in its basic consciousness. So this is actually a very important artifact, and it should basically be returned to its original position, which is at eNzalo yeLanga, which is about, in this direction, you can walk for almost 3.7 kilometers to get to that particular site I am talking about, where this artifact was actually removed and placed here, just to put a plaque on it, and that is all. That's basically the reason. But now to put it back, the laws will not allow, because the laws now state that you have to go through tender processes. Tender processes, yes. Tender processes, because now if we just touch this and remove it from there, we are tampering with heritage artifacts, and there are laws that actually inhibit us from tampering with artifacts. So now it is under the Heritage Council and under the laws and acts that actually govern artifacts. And now this has to go through a process to be removed from here, to be taken back to eNzalo yeLanga.
Edwin, last year for the African New Year, there seemed to be some drama around access into this particular heritage site. So what's happening? Who owns this place? Who controls it? What was the politic about?
Well, you know, with nature reserves, there is a process, and there are processes and protocols that you need to adhere to. This is now a Blue Swallow Nature Reserve, and it is actually under the Department of Agriculture and Fishery, Forestry and Fishery. And access to this point has to be through a process with permits. You need to have a permit in order to get into this place, despite the fact that we've got our own heritage site, which is there, basically, which also needs to be protected from vandalism and a lot of other things that can happen to the place. So we need to engage all interested parties so that we come to an agreement in how best people can have access to this place. I understand the bone of contention between the African who want to come here to their special site. And I also understand what the Department of Agriculture is saying we are also breeding bird species and animal species. The black-maned baboon is here. We also have the blue swallow, which was becoming extinct in South Africa, which needs to be protected. We've got quails here. We've got the red-billed horn. A lot of bird species which are here, which need to be protected. And also animals, which also need to be protected. And understand, when they bar people from coming in here, we also have a forestry. And remember, the forest, if you put a matchstick, things go, you lose billions worth of forestry here. So we need a consensus for these groups, different groups vested with vested interests in eNzalo yeLanga. Some come for tourism, some come to worship and meditation and honoring their ancestors. Some come so for bird watching, to see different species of birds which have become extinct in other parts of the world and also in other parts of South Africa. So I think it is now time for SAPI, SAFCO, South African Forestry Commission, and all these groups and the tour guides like myself to now go onto the playground and make a law or a documentation that can actually have people have cleared access to eNzalo yeLanga, because you cannot come without a guide in this place. That's one thing for sure. I think the Department of DAF, of Agriculture and Forestry and Fisheries, should actually give the permits to the tour guides and to work out a plan in which these tour guides or gatekeepers, as I can say, should have access to this place with the people. Nobody should actually come into this place without a tour guide. And because this will also cause a lot of friction between the vested interested groups which are actually looking after our heritage in South Africa. So I understand that we need to get permission to get into this place, and also we need to work out points, meet halfway, and actually make it a point that everybody is happy with the ultimate outcome of visiting such sacred places, and also seeing the animals in this place.
And then lastly, let's go back to this, the clitoris of our clitoris.
Yes. Yes, the mother stone, yes.
Yes, the mother stone. Can you give us more?
Yes, the mother stone, actually, it's a representation of knowledge. Now, a lot of people are not yet aware that the mother stone, the clitoris of the earth, why it is called mazisakazi. Now, mazisakazi, I don't know. Do you know what mazisakazi
To bring the
means?
cold.
Yes, from mazisakazi.
Well, to bring the cold. Uletikazi.
Yes, well, mazisakazi, the knowledge is embedded within the feminine structure. That is what mazisakazi mean.
I wonder, maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Yes,
I
think our language, I will tell you about language. Language is very weird. We'll go to Baba Credo Mutwa's explanation about the Coptic languages and all this. I will take it there some other time. But mazisakazi, the representation is about the knowledge structure and the system of evolvement of humanity. Where we are today is because of the feminine, the womb. This is where everything is worked out. The mating or meeting place between God and man is the womb of the woman. And all our knowledge is engraved in the matrix or metaverse. Meta, which is the mother, and universal or verse, vested in the mother. The metaverse, universal mother, that is what the metaverse is all about. And the universal mother is responsible for procreation. And procreation is where the knowledge and the shortcomings of demise of men actually takes place, or our ascendancy also takes place, and our well-being also takes place. So when you hear the word Mutwa, Mutwa also means mother. It's the mother, the great earth mother, where we are all actually centered as a human species, where we come from and where we are going back to. So this is actually a narrative of what the clitoris actually represents, and it represents regeneration. It's like a karma, regenerating the energy of the human species and bring it back, a cycle that is continuous, which should never be ending, that is carried by the woman. The man who carries the womb. This is what the woman actually states in that narrative.
Thank you. So where are we now, Edwin?
Thank you, everyone. We are now in the Stone Tools and Artifacts Museum, which is in Waterville, Boven. And this is a museum which was set up for the purpose of starting the human consciousness journey, where you can learn more about ancient artifacts, the artifacts which were used by Ubaba Credo Mutwa. Some of them are actually here in this museum, which we have here in Waterville, Boven. And for example, the Taurus stone, Ubaba Credo Mutwa talks about the Taurus stones, and these Taurus stones are just magical elements. A lot of people know nothing about toroidal fields and how toroidal fields are actually manifested in our entire galaxy, and even our body is also just a manifestation of toroidal elements. And this is very, very advanced quantum physics. I know a lot of people would say our ancient knew nothing and were actually ignorant. No, that doesn't hold water. Our ancient ancestors were much more advanced than what we as a current civilization actually experience in terms of energy and the manufacture of energy and how to use sound structures to create energy. So we know that this Taurus stone, one of this sample that I'm holding here, with a hole in the middle, this one, scientifically, these elements have been tested. And some people think that these elements actually were something that was used to make fire, or somebody would tell you about making fire. No, you don't really need this to make fire. These were used for something else that is very, very much more different than what we were told by modern researchers. There is something more that is secretive, that is inclined in Taurus stones. And these are some of the tools that I'm just mentioning as one such type of a tool that was used by the Sanusis to create energy and to do also sound healing. And this is a Taurus stone. I'll explain more in the next vision. It's quite a long story about the element of creation of energy. People think it's just a kids play. It's not kids play. It's something that is very, very realistic and very, very real, and it's not a conspiracy theory. That here in Africa, which is the cradle of humankind, we had everything that we needed on our landscape. We don't need elements that come from across the seas. We have it all here in Kemet.
So these Taurus stones are used for sound healing?
Yes, these Taurus stones are used. I'll explain the quantum physics behind this, and it has all to do with healing, sound healing. Remember, the primordial element of creation is actually sound. And when we listen to what Tesla was trying to talk about, Nikola Tesla, he talks about sound frequency and elevation of vibration. And we know that the earth is all about frequency and sound and structure. And that is the primordial element of creation. This is why we are called, you call yourself a person. Per, Latin, of, and son comes from the word sonic. So when you are saying I am a person, you are actually saying I am of sound. This is what you are saying. And this surprises many people when God says, let there be light. There was a sound first, and then there was a creation that followed. So we are talking of sound structures and elements of quantum magnetics. A lot of things that have to be explained there in this museum. There's a lot of things. We've got a lot of stuff that we need to cover, and that is what I will explain to those who will actually book the tours to come here, and I'll tell you the secrets of the shaman and the secrets of the fingerprints of the gods. Yes, we have them here in Kemet.
So beautiful. So all these rocks that we're seeing here,
yes,
they all represent something.
We've got a lot of fossils, mud fossils. A lot of people have not learned about mud fossils. There's a lot of mud fossils. We've got petrified elements, which are also here on this side. Here you can see we've got geological formations and actually petrified elements, which are here. And I will get to explain to you the cone-shaped tools and also other petrified stuff that you are going to see here. The heart section, the reptilian skin, the formation of such structures. I will actually explain to it because it's a plethora of information. It's not just a couple of pages. It takes, in this museum, you can take 5 days to go through all the elements that are actually here, that you are going to witness and actually see and actually have a knowledge that will be inscripted in each and every one of the elements that you're actually seeing here. So it's collection over almost 22 years that we are talking about.
Beautiful.
that will ultimately change the state of information in our mainstream and academic circles. So that is basically what will actually will happen if they are to change the narrative. This is why you always hear that the cycle is only 4,500 years. Anything that is found today, they want to just equate it to 4,500 years. They don't want to go beyond that. And I guess even after 100,000 years, we'll still be told that humanity has been here for 4,500 years. Because that is what they want to write in the mainstream academia. Not the knowledge that people want to know. That is not knowledge. It's called false knowledge is very extremely dangerous. And this is the false knowledge that has caused our consciousness to be crammed and to be controlled because of a narrative that we don't even adhere to or even try to perceive as our own. That is not our knowledge. Our knowledge is engraved in the DNA structure. We don't have knowledge which does not come from the storytellers. Our storytellers and our oral historians are the knowledge keepers of ancient consciousness of Kemet. We don't need to write anything in a library because we download that knowledge from deep inside ourselves. When you go to all these temples that have been built across the world, you are going to find even in the temples of Apollo, they will simply tell you that know thyself. First know yourself before you know what is from without. You have the God particle. You have the Christ consciousness. The Israelite is right here. And we are standing in the Eden. This ground below our feet is actually the Eden. There is no other Eden people are looking for. This is why we've got this narrative here at Mpumalanga, the birthplace of the sun. This is where all the animals are. This is why people come from far and wide to come and see the animals here. The big five. Where else can you find the big five if you don't come here to Mpumalanga? The narrative of the ark, it's here. This is where it is, in Swaziland. The oldest mines, 45,000 BC, are here in Mpumalanga. The three pillars of the oldest kingdoms are here. We've got Nongoma, we've got Mswati, and we've got Litsie. Those are the three pillars of the oldest ancient kingdoms of Kemet. They are here. This is where it all began. So we are being told somebody comes and steals your God, repackages him and brings him back to you with a different headdress. And then you believe that. You had the Christ consciousness, which was just changed. And so when it was changed, now we have to reclaim it. But reclaiming that consciousness is to go back to the basics. Let's go to the basics. The first formula. And that's what we have here in Kemet. And this is a very sacred ancient site where in 1937, the last ceremony was held here, in which Baba Credo Mutwa took part, and he was only 17 years old when he became a Sanusi. Now, you know, to become a Sanusi, you cannot become a Sanusi before the age of 40. The narrative of life begins at 40. It's a true elementary narrative to say you cannot be a healer below the age of 40. Even, I don't know, these doctors who are going to universities, what they are doing, because they are not healers. They are just Panadol distributors. they distribute Panadols and tell us that they are healers and they are doctors. You cannot be a doctor. Our methodologies in Kemet do not allow us to be like that. That's the laws of Imhotep. Imhotep stipulates that if you want to be a healer, you have to have consciousness state first. And that is when you are actually upraised, when you reach the age of 40. Not when you still have milk on your nose. You cannot be a healer. So here we have a narrative which is written in the laws of Imhotep. We have a narrative that is written in the papyrus scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of the Dead, the books of coming forth by day. This is the narrative. It is eNzalo yeLanga. This is a library. It's a consciousness library. The type of rock that we are going to see here, it's a plutonic gabbro. And a plutonic gabbro stipulates a 33.3 hertz vibration, which is similar to the skin of a human being. Now, when you also go there, you are going to find that that rock is not available here where we are standing. The nearest place you can get such type of a rock is in Swaziland. That's 200 kilometers away from here. So you are going to find out that this rock here is actually at a vibrational point because of its holocrystallite elements, which actually embedded in that inside that rock. And the most important crystal that we have in that rock is microsilica. Now, when you go and research about microsilica, you are going to find that it's storage of information. This automatically makes this a library of information in which we can telepathically link our consciousness to the ultimate results of sound ingredients and frequency inside the specification itself. So this is why the Sanusis will actually come here and listen to the message that comes out from the rock. Very ancient messages that come out of that rock. The spiritual healers love this place not because it's just a bunch of rocks that are aligned to the stars, but because it's a consciousness library. They are actually telepathically being downloaded messages from the ancient cosmic elements into the present realm. So when we have this message, that is the proper message that humanity should follow. So unfortunately, the shaman have been excluded in university research. The shaman have been excluded from anything that has to do with education and guidance of humanity because they are said to be irrelevant in the matrix. And yet they hold the most ancient voice within them, the real voice of instructional elements which come from the Creator himself. That's where the problem is with our methodologies of modern consciousness and what we call civilization and advancement. We are not advanced, we are actually moving backwards. This is a machine. This structure here is a very ancient amplification device, which we call eNzalo yeLanga. It has got all the ingredients of nature and what humanity principles are. They are all embedded in eNzalo yeLanga. We don't get any more information that is more relevant to us, which is more than the information at eNzalo yeLanga. This is why scientists and researchers are baffled to say, how come? What is actually happening? Where is this knowledge coming from? From Baba Credo Mutwa. He never went to school. He could speak 11 languages. So principally, he was not educated, but he was guided by principles. And those principles were endowed in nature. And that nature was actually here in the spectra of the calendar, the birthplace of the sun. So we can get in and then slowly I'll show you the 3D alignment. And the 3D alignment and where the sun will be in direction. It's coming out from this space, and it's coming out from the northeast today. It happens only once a year on the 21st of June today, and the sun will be aligned on two particular points here, the sundown point and the sunrise point. The sundown point gives us an elementary light a construct of 8 hours 45 minutes today. This is the shortest day in the southern hemisphere, and it is the longest day today in the northern hemisphere. So it's opposite. As above, so below. It's a vortex, and today we are experiencing 8 hours 45 minutes of sunlight. That's the shortest day. And it's all happening here at eNzalo yeLanga, the birthplace of the sun. This is where the spiritual sun was born, not the physical sun. Now, people think that people worshipped this sun. This is not the sun that was worshipped. The sun that was worshipped is Ra, its father, which is a representation of what? Of what we call Gabriel today. It was the father. Ra is father. You go to Tswana, you say Ra, is it not father? Yeah, it's Ra, it's father. Again, you go to Suma, to Sumeria, Ra is also father. It's the same language in principle. We speak the same language. We don't speak English, and even the English don't know where English came from. Because English, if you split that word, it's England. Lish, similar to. So it means even the English who are purported to be speaking English don't know where the language comes from, because it's not their language. Something that was just, that was made up. And today it is now destroying the cultural values, because it's not nobody's, it's in no man's land. It does not belong to any specific grouping. That is why it's called English. Lish means similar to. Almost similar to the language that was spoken in England. So what was spoken in England? They should go and start speaking what they started to speak. So if you go to the Aboriginal language and you find the word dog, that's the first word which confuses English, because the word or the name dog means a dog in Aboriginal language. So the Aborigines are the ones who started to construct the language. Not England, but it was then English, similar to.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So if you go to Aboriginal, you find that. So let's go in, and we can stand by the 3D marker and just see something that is. So that's the astronomical alignment that we'll witness today. So it is between these two stones, central markers, which are the calendar markers, that the sun will be given birth, like it is being born inside this grid. So that's Kepler's laws of planetary motion. And today, hopefully, that cloud also clears there, and it gives us a much better view to actually see the sun rising from the horizon. So this is why the spirituality was centered around Information principles of consciousness. And this is a place which is actually, when you take a drone view of the entire place, you're going to find that it's a complete circle. It's actually a temple. And people don't really know the principles of a temple. People think it's just a building with with bricks and other things. This is actually a temple as it is. We've got features which are here, which show that this is actually a temple. The inscriptions of all the narratives that you find in Egypt are actually here at this particular site. We've got Heru, which is the Horus. The Horus, the first prototype of the Horus is here at this particular site. We've got the Sphinx, which is also here. But this one is a stone Sphinx. We also have the Kundalini presentation, which is the serpent. It is also here. It is inscripted here. We also have the phoenix or the eagle inscription, which is also here at this particular site. And all these inscriptions, you find them in the temples of Amun-Ra in Egypt. They are here. They are all inscripted here at this particular site. So this is actually a very ancient library, not just a calendar per se, because we have it as a consciousness library. It's a very old site, which was actually used for spirituality, but it has got all the ingredients of human consciousness inscripted in it. This is why it is called eNzalo yeLanga, the birthplace of the sun. It's the spirituality embedded in it. Not just mere stones lined up, because when you go and place the measurement of all these, you are going to find 33.3, you are going to find 33.3 from the southern marker to the northern marker. We've got the altar stone, which is there. If you go to the Stonehenge, the altar stone is also there. If you go to Napta Player, the altar stone is always there on the northern alignment. And this is the reason why this becomes a temple. As above, so below narrative, the golden mean spiral and the accretion disk element, it is here. It's very, very advanced. Because if we had scanners to scan each and every rock and put it as it was, you have a very complicated labyrinth here. Because some of the rocks have fallen down, some of them are still standing, some of them are now misaligned. But if they were to be rescanned, you'd find that the whole site would become a very complex accretion disk, which is similar to the golden mean one. Yes.
Sorry, what's an accretion disk?
Accretion disk, it is what they call the zero infinite point, which is in the Bellatrix. You see the stars, the Milky Way. You see how the Milky Way is depicted, like a spiral. Yes, that's an accretion disk. It's called an accretion disk. It is an energy point, which is the zero infinite center between the galaxies and the planets.
This is a reflection.
Yes, it's a reflection, like a mirror image. So it's a reflection.
Way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel all these were informed by
astronomers and astrologers. Deadline then, and what we are looking at here, the Barberton, this is the richest gold crater in the world. Here. So it's not by chance that this place could possibly have been set up here, because we've got a lot of gold that is in this place. And this could actually have been the motivation why eNzalo yeLanga is actually at this particular site. And it is overlooking one of the richest gold craters in the world. And here we also have Sheba mine. And Sheba is in the Bible, Queen Sheba. Probably this is where she got all that gold that she, yes, yes. So this is the Barberton, and it's actually directly in front of what we can call an observatory site. So being an observatory, it could possibly mean that this was also something to do with activities that were happening right here in the valley. And that would be the activities of gold harvesting. And this gold, where it went to, nobody knows. Because we have an insatiable appetite for gold. This man wants gold, he wants gold, but ultimately what they use it for, we don't really know what they use it for. Mostly,
as the Pope.
Well, ornaments.
Schedule that meeting.
Yes,
We need to know.
we might use it for ornaments, we might use it for anything else, but the most important thing is technology. Gold is actually for very, very advanced technology. It's not for money, it is actually for very advanced quantum mechanics, quantum magnetics, creating energy. It translates heat energy into electrical current on an instantaneous mode. So,
Like silver.
yes.
Yeah.
So you find that gold, if we change the diatomic element, the yellow gold, into monoatoms, we can actually cover her with monoatoms and she becomes invisible. You can become invisible. These people, a lot of people don't know that monoatomic elements are like magic, abracadabra, because it uses the referral of light, refractions, and you become like you are invisible when we cover you in monoatoms. Yes. And this is also the shields. These are called monoatomic shields, which are created from mono gold, which they cover spaceships and to send into orbit. A lot of these structures are covered in monoatoms. So NASA uses more gold than the banks, and mostly the gold is leaving from this place.
Is it just gold or diamonds too?
Yes. You can take a photo of the sun. Nalanga.
Oh, there she is.
Yes.
I've been sitting there waiting like, when you coming up there?
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
So it's making it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was lazy today.
Yes.
Clouds.
You look like guys.
Too cold outside.
Yes. It's too cold outside. Yes. So he'll take another good photo there on the side there.
Actually,
They
that's
still
really good.
extract
Yeah,
gold
yeah.
from here?
Yes.
That took a
A
while.
lot of gold, because we've got almost 1,500 gold mining claims here, including illegal. Yes, because there are still channels and tunnels underground where people go and get gold and sell it. Yes.
But that's just private companies, right?
Private companies and
And public?
illegal mining. Yes, there's a lot of illegal mining here. And when you go across South Africa, the activities of illegal mining are very...
So there are diamonds as well.
What's the difference between legal and illegal mining?
They're all illegal.
Well,
All right.
They're all illegal. They're all illegal.
it's illegal and legal mining might be the one who makes the laws. These are Carson's laws. I think you have heard about Carson's law. Carson's law, this gunman who just hanged people, instant justice, and he hanged more than he can count on his fingers. Yes, more people, instant justice. Carson's
I have a
law.
motto that says, if we have land and we mine and we find something, shut up.
Yes, that's the only way you can save your skin. Yes. Otherwise, everything that you take from then on, it belongs to Uncle Sam. So we don't know who these people who make the laws, because these laws they are for the elite.
Who do they
to
serve?
protect the elite club. Yes.
These laws.
It's
Not
the same thing where we're from. There's a lot of gold as well, and same laws.
Brazil,
Yes.
yeah. There's
Yes.
a lot.
So whatever is under the ground is not yours. it belongs to the state. And yes, the state could be a bunch of guys who just sit around and then draft something that makes everybody else lose their yes. So here we've got gold, and I said prior that the one who handles gold and owns or controls the mining syndicates is the one who controls the consciousness, and the gold has been put on a scale to actually motivate that control.
Yeah, but the people that work to get the gold, they are the most enslaved at all. Right?
Well, we've got appetite for gold. We are like we in our DNA we have this just instinct to go and fetch gold, but we don't know its use and why it is we should be mugged for having gold, why there should be robberies for having gold, and where it goes we don't even know where it goes, where it ultimately disappears to. So it's just in the consciousness, it's engraved in us to go and look for gold and give it to whoever says bring it here.
The reptilian overlords.
You see,
Yeah.
now, that's where you find these inscriptions in our DNA. Because now if you go to military uniforms, you find the inscriptions are there. The phoenix, United States Army has got the phoenix, which is the eagle. You go to China, you are going to have the serpent energy there. You go to, and all these things that here you come to Africa, you've got the sphinx energy, which is here. Things are inscripted. Everything is hidden in plain sight. The moment you understand the aspect of symbolism is the day you are going to understand the consciousness arena. Because symbolism has meanings. There are a lot of meanings in symbolism. And when you go to the Red Cross, the Kundalini, the serpent, you go to the religious texts, you are going to see that there's a lady who talked to the serpent. I don't know which serpent it was, but it's something crazy. So
We saw the serpent yesterday in Carolina, man.
somewhere, and then in Carolina, the other one.
The guy is sitting on the serpent.
You're keeping it quiet, please.
Yeah, just sit
Activating
there.
my kundalini.
Yeah, yes. So it's all about DNA, but really it's metaphoric. Everything is metaphoric. I don't really believe maybe that the serpent really did something there, but here we've got it. It's set up in the wilderness. Then you go into a religious text where on a journey some people were being bitten by snakes and a serpent was set up in the wilderness. Yes.
Look at it.
Yes, so look at it. Yeah. Look at the serpent and you'll be healed. Yeah. And you have a lot of places where you find that the serpent is depicted. And then today we've got the laws of when you cite the hypocritical oath, there's a serpent, the Kundalini. It's also on that engraving, and which represents your chakra points, your 7 chakra points. Here, on this labyrinth here, we've got 7 chakra points on this labyrinth, which the shaman, which they call the shamanic pathway, where they were also initiated here. We count 7 alignments going to the west. This side is when you take and it's here. It's not some. It's not these things are here right in front of us. And then you go to Egypt, you are going to see. I was talking about the Horus. The Chimetians call it Heru, and that's the bed structure that has fallen down there. It's Heru, and also the alignment of let's just go down here by this place here. So
So that's the head of the bird.
yeah. So this one is fallen down. It's actually a bed structure, and this is the beak, and that's the breast. So it's all supposed to be standing upright, marking the rise of Orion. So again, we've got this structure. You've got the Horus in Egypt. But I would rather believe that this is the first original prototype, because that one,
That one was later.
that one is a drawing, and that one is carved in a wall. But this one is actually, sculptured, yes, from rock.
What's the current estimate as to when this was built? Is it 160?
So what we do in order to calculate, we've got various, the rock, a rock itself has got no zero aging. So what you need to do is to the first principle of calculating the age of the rock itself. It's when we can use the patina gradient test, which is called the Hornfels theory. Now, the Hornfels theory is the skin of a rock is formulated through the processes of oxidization. So it grows a skin which is called the patina. And 1 microscopic millimeter growth of patina on the surface of a rock will give us 650 to 1,000 years for patina to completely cover the rock. Now, this rock is very, very weather resistant. So we can use patina, or at the same time, using the Hornfels theory, we use the reverse hydration technique, which is the amount of water content inside a rock over a specific period of time. So the rock hydrates also water seepage through the rock. So that is done in a laboratory. Then we also do these alignments. We've got the alignments right here, which they used to do the archaeoastronomical alignment test. Now, the archaeoastronomical alignment test was centered on these three principles: Aunilam, Aunitak, and Mintaka. These three stars, 1, 2, 3. They are actually stars, the representation of stars. So if you lift them up and you go to the entrance of the temple, you are going to use your star up, and you are going to see that just below the sun here, there is the Orion belt. These stars actually represent stars which are on the northern alignment here, which are under the Bellatrix, which is the Orion belt, which is Aunilam, Aunitak, and Mintaka. So here you can see that the GPS coordinate was actually here on the ground. It was also centered on the ground. This one here, and that one, this one, and this one. So if you raise them up, you raise the Horus stone, you raise this one, you raise this one, you raise this one, you form the Golden Gate analogy. That is what you form. Now go to Washington, D.C. Go to the temples of the Vatican. Go to Egypt. Come to Great Zimbabwe and come here. You are going to see all these have got what? Pillars which are called the Golden Gate inscription analogy. When you go to Washington, you're going to see at the entrance of the Capitol, there are certain pillars which are there. And in the center, there are some of them which have got slightly different color. Then you know that it's a metaphoric what. Then you go again to some places like the Vatican and go and see that this is the same one at the entrances. Now come to Adam's calendar, which is eNzalo yeLanga.
These are falling down.
Yes, these are fallen down. So who is knowing the GPS coordinate of something that we don't know up in the sky? Somebody knows about this coordination of some elements that we don't know what the representation is. So this is what we need to research on to say, why is this repeating? We go to Napta Playa, we go to the pyramids, we go to Great Zimbabwe ruins. We find a repetition of the stars of the Orion also in alignment with certain structures that are all over the place across the world. We are going to go to the burial site, which is also here. We have a burial site here at eNzalo yeLanga, which is on the northern alignment. Now, when you go to Egypt again, you've got a burial site, the Valley of the Kings, not the pyramids. Nobody was buried in the pyramids. If somebody tells you somebody is buried in the pyramids, just say, I'm now going for a cup of tea, and just leave them. Yes. Yeah, because there's no one who was, yes. Pyramid, the name itself, pyramid, actually tells you something. Pyra, fire, mid in the center. Fire in the center. Oh. Literally, we are talking of amplification devices. Those are energy centers and those are machines. All these structures that we see are just machines. Yes, devices, yes, energy devices that actually use wave technology, tectonic movement of plates to create radiant polarized structures, which is actually energy, infinite energy. So that's a machine. Nobody will be buried there. That's actually something else. So we've got burial sites next to these. You go to Great Zimbabwe, you go on the north, the kings there were also buried on the northern alignment. Here at eNzalo yeLanga, we've got a burial site on the northern alignment. It's Dumuzi. Dumuzi, now when you look at the narrative of Obaba Credo Mutwa, Credo Mutwa said, we gathered at the burial site of Dumuzi for a cleansing ceremony before we were allowed to enter into eNzalo yeLanga for the final initiation ceremony that was going to be done here. So it means that there was something that was happening there. The cleansing ceremony at the burial site of a king. But when you go into the narrative of that king, you are going to find that the Sumerians also narrated about this king. And it's not just Obaba Credo Mutwa who was narrating about a king called Dumuzi. You find that even the Sumerians, he is mentioned, and with a D and with a T. T, a drag of D. And that was Dumuzi. Probably that was the same king whom the Sumerians say was buried overlooking a crater. Now, if he was buried overlooking a crater, this is the Barberton crater. And next to his father's favorite site, which could possibly be eNzalo yeLanga, yes. So we don't really know if this is the same Dumuzi that we find in the cuneiform text. But if it's a crater, which is a gold crater, this is one of the gold craters that we probably would be looking at on the northern alignment. And this possibly could suit the elementary description of this king. But when you look at the people who were here, who were before they were taken and removed from this place and taken to Makonjwa Mountains, you find that there were villages here. Before this land was taken away from yes, there were villages. And this place was once sacred to the point that people could not venture into here. Even if your cattle or your sheep got lost, you were not supposed to come here. You would wait for them to come back on their own, or they would send the elders to come and retrieve those. Because there were a lot of stories of disappearances here in this place. When it was really at its apex of being very sacred. There were a lot of other ceremonies which were done here, not just the initiation ceremony. So we have actually arrived at a burial site, and this is the burial site where Baba Credo Mutwa said all the shaman who were initiated in 1937 first had to converge here after going past the DNA or urine stone, which we call the urine stone, which is just down there. and then they would come here after their samples have been what? Actually taken, and then they would come and converge at the burial site of Dumuzi, who is an ancient king who was buried here next to eNzalo, yeLanga. And this is where the cleansing ceremony was actually done before they were then called one at a time to get into eNzalo, yeLanga for the final initiation ceremony. So it would probably could have taken 9 months for all the people to be cleared. And that 9 months is actually a full gestation period in which you live your old life to partake into the new, and you become of service to humanity. You are now of servitude. You know, with the shaman and Sha women, you serve humanity. You with spirituality, you don't sell spirituality. It's not our desire to take money to heal people. This was something that you had to do for free. Yes, that's the law of shamanism. It's to you help everybody and anybody for free at any cost. Yes. So this was the center of the cleansing, and then they had to go into the final initiation.
Do you know what era it was? The kings. When
yes.
was he alive?
What was happening here? We've got a lot of things that have happened here to actually prove that this was actually a burial site. Now, we've got the stratigraphic analysis of the place. We've got the infrared camera resemblance process that you actually check out. And then you also have the botanic assessment of the grass and trees and other elements which suck up nutrients from the soil in order to determine that if there was a burial that actually took
human
place,
remains.
yes, human remains from there. But when you look at, as I was saying, Dumuzi, the calendar gives us a 450,000 year cycle, and within this 450,000 years that the calendar could have been in existence, we hear an oral story or the history of this place, that this was an ongoing initiation. And before then, before Credo Mutwa and them, it means that the oral story could have been cut off somewhere along the line. But now we know that within this sphere of 450,000 years, a lot of things could have taken place here. Not just the narrative. And this narrative of the burial site is being passed on from one group of shaman to the next, one group of shaman to the next, to the point that Credo Mutwa says, I was also told that the person or the king who was buried here is a Cumatian king who is called Dumuzi. He would then not give us a timeline or to narrate how old this king was when he passed on, or how long he could have ruled this part of the planet. But he is so sure to the point that we had channelers who also channeled the elementary alignment of his frequency here at this particular site. Yes. And within that 450,000 year period, then we could have had a lot of other things that took place. But we reach to the point that ultimately we are still being told by the last group of shaman and Sha women who were initiated here that this is a burial site for the king who was known as Dumuzi.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So this is actually a sacred site, and a lot of people have actually come in, and we have had a lot of shaman. Even from Brazil, I've got some sisters who came here from the Osoi family, and they are from Brazil, and they came here, and It's very interesting what they also channeled here. And it goes on and on. I've been taking a lot of spiritual people past this place. And I listen and I observe. But I've observed something that is very much similar to what most of them come here and channel. Yes, and it's very fascinating because I'm the one who is learning more. Yes, not the other people, the other way around. I'm the one who is learning more.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into e off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.